The occasionally friendly sounds you are going to hear were generated by a new virtuoso on the musical scene, an electronic computer.
You never see another human being in the video game Portal 2. This is not a quirk unique to Portal 2. Plenty of games don't include other humans for a number of reasons. For example, this trope is common with nature games. The point is to feel alone, wonderfully lost in sprawling vistas, relaxing among the plants and animals. Portal 2 is not one of these games. It takes place entirely in an industrial underground megastructure with dizzying columns and vast girders and unfathomably long wires that make the tangles under your desk seem like poor imitations of something much more ancient. This is not a place that knows things like plants and animals. One could argue that Portal 2 strays much closer to a horror game's definition of alone, using the lack of other humans to isolate you from any true allies within this world. Except Portal 2 is not a game that feels terrifyingly lonely. In fact, the world of Portal 2 feels alive in a way few games achieve. Despite being surrounded by miles of metal and machinery, the world of this game is unmistakably living. This isn't communicated through any visual cue, no piece of dialogue or bit of written lore. It's all in the music. The trick with the music of Portal 2 is its existence within the world of the game, a quality also known as being diegetic. Non-diegetic music comprises the vast majority of soundtracks. The characters in the story cannot hear the sprawling arpeggios and orchestral hits that accompany their every move. Diegetic music, on the other hand, is situated within the world of the story. The characters can hear it and react to it, and the sounds are affected by the physical environment they exist in. Most movies, shows, and games have some mix of diegetic and non-diegetic music. But in Portal, every single piece is diegetic, created, heard, and experienced within the world of the game. It's this diegetic quality that makes Portal 2's music so unique. The soundtrack cannot rely on typical instruments or traditional musical motifs. There are no concert halls in this game, no orchestras, saxophones, pianos, violins. This is a world built from miles of metal, forged by the fires of industry. There is no space for something as fleeting as a musical instrument, no space for anything other than mechanics on top of infrastructure, on top of machinery. So the machines make the music. The composer of the game, Mike Moraski, says every part of the game's music is purely electronic. Nothing acoustic or organic was used, he told Games Radar Plus. This method creates a truly unique sound, right at home among the robotic arms and apertured eyes of the facility. Evident from the very first track on the album, Science is Fun. Jarringly robotic noises with bizarre compression and whining high notes carry the melody, sounding like nothing so much as the buzzing of pure electricity. The grating of mechanical parts moving, cutting in and out at strange points, acts as the percussion. Analog beeps and clicks provide the bass line. This is music made with nothing we would call instruments, noises we wouldn't even think of as music in any other context. Other pieces take full advantage of this unique soundboard. The courtesy call and the part where he kills you both use alarms as their melodies, shifting from the one-note heartbeat of a real alarm to complex harmonies formed out of the same blaring noise. high-cut laser dance sounds like a factory floor, made entirely from the harsh noises of robotic arms cutting metal, the sound slamming back and forth between your ears. This is the music of machinery. The music of machinery is not always pleasant to human ears. The Portal 2 soundtrack is full of odd rhythm patterns you can't quite latch onto, melodies interweaving in ways that feel more like an equation than something creative, scales that feel like lists rather than music. Murawski says this artificiality was purposeful. He wanted the music to sound like it could have been procedurally created by the facility itself. You can hear this strangeness clearly in a piece such as Triple Laser Phaser, where harmonies blend seamlessly in and out of each other, never quite letting you figure out where the music is going to go next. A piece like Adrenal Vapor is even weirder, with complex polyrhythms that never quite repeat, always keeping you off balance, always waiting for the downbeat that never quite... But these pieces are pleasant versions of this, pieces that you could listen to in the background, letting the gentle humming of machinery filter in and out of your ears. But machines are not always quiet and complacent, electricity flowing peacefully through their circuitry, well-oiled sockets soundlessly rotating. Machines are slamming metal and screeching joints, oil and rust and mechanical parts and noise. An assault on your senses from the very first note. The Friendly Faith plate is this music at its most hostile. It is blaringly loud, every noise digitized to the point of corruption, silence cutting in at strange moments only to immediately return to cacophony. Different melodies jump around almost at random, the piece building only in the sense of pure decibels. By the end of the piece, any semblance of rhythm entirely breaks down as every melody enters at once, creating a wall of almost pure noise. This is a mechanical explosion disguised as music. The sound of machinery slamming itself against the walls, propelled by hydraulics far too powerful, smashing down the very cages that kept it contained. This is not music meant for humans to listen to. This is music stripped down to its base elements and amped up to 11, filled from start to end with pure, violent, mechanical joy. There's only one piece in the entire game that clearly uses a traditional human instrument. Machiavellian Bach is a rendition of Bach's prelude in D minor, and it begins with a harpsichord. This harpsichord is one of the few human touches you felt all game. Someone practiced this. Someone played this. Someone you will never see, will never meet, but you can hear them. Unfortunately, this track too is diegetic, played over the speakers of the lab as you solve yet another test. And humanity does not last long within these walls. Over the course of the piece, a synthesizer begins to join in, providing a cybernetic backing track to the harpsichord. They weave in and out of each other, until slowly, the harpsichord becomes quieter. Another synthesizer track joins in, and another, until they have fully taken over the piece. You cannot tell whether you can still hear the harpsichord, or are only imagining it there. It has been completely covered by these excruciatingly robotic sounds, carrying out the melody and harmony in some crude facsimile of the human performance. You will never experience that version while playing the game. That rendition of Machiavellian Bach, slowly corrupted by the greedy tendrils of the synthesizers, is only available on the soundtrack. Within the game, it's potentially even more interesting. According to Moravsky, the Portal 2 development team had to create a brand new system to handle the dynamic audio present in the game. Because the music in the game is completely diegetic, it all has to come from somewhere, and as you move about the levels, the music that you're hearing will shift. With Machiavellian Bach, you only hear that synthesizer section while being launched through the air by the mechanical faceplates, loudest at the zenith of your arc. The taking over of one of the only human things you've found is still present, but only in specific spots, only when interacting with the faceplates. And that's when you realize the music in Portal 2 doesn't simply come from the walls or invisible speakers tucked away in the corners of the levels. It emanates uniquely from each machine. The synthesizers aren't created by some abstract idea of the facility as a whole. It is the faceplates themselves who are singing. The interactive music experience tends to become one of exploration. The music is emanating from the facility and the devices of Aperture Science itself, Moravsky says. While you hear the complete versions of pieces on the soundtrack, the other fascinating aspect of Portal 2's diegetic music is how it reacts to your in-game actions. Within the game, the pieces are broken up into layers upon layers, each only emanating from a specific part of the puzzle, a specific machine. The aforementioned triple laser phaser slowly builds upon itself as you connect the lasers to the goal. As you experiment with each laser, connecting one, then two, then frustratingly back to one, the music that you hear is shaped by your unique experience of the space, creating a different soundscape for each player. More than just getting closer to solving the puzzle, you are unlocking parts of the music with each step that you take, its growing complexity or simplicity providing feedback on your progress. The music itself becomes a guide to and a reward for your progression. The best example of this is found in Chapter 3, Chamber 10, with a piece titled, "I Saw a Deer Today." When experienced through the soundtrack, "I Saw a Deer Today" sounds like pure chaos. It's a song full of some of the weirdest noises in the game, weaving melodies and percussion and bass lines in and out of each other almost at random. But again, you will never hear this version within the game. In the game, this piece is split up spatially. One layer plays from one of the lasers, another plays while using the faceplate, another emanates from a different laser, and others are created by specific wall panels or doors. move through the puzzle, it rewards you with different layers of the music, creating an audible tapestry, inseparable from the very room and the machines that weave it. This is how the world of Portal 2, unapologetically mechanical, feels alive. Each machine is not simply a backdrop for your exploration, a piston painted onto a wall for you to look at from afar, a piece of the puzzle only there for you to click on it. Each machine is present in this world. Each machine reacts to you. They are singing to you. The faith plates, the wall panels, the cubes, the lasers, the turrets, the excursion funnels, and the buttons, and every other piece of machinery in this entire facility is singing to you. The machines all have their own personality, their own song. Wall panels peek out at you from around corners and play with cubes, beeping their own bouncy melodies. Lasers each have a unique hum, blending together into ethereal music. Faith plates are violent and jarring and full of energy, their music slamming out notes. The turrets are full of personality, certain ones defective or telling prophecies or singing opera. Turret Wife Serenade is a part of the game that's easily missed, hidden behind an inconspicuous grate in the middle of a puzzle. Upon entering, the turrets are singing a wordless, beautiful 4-part harmony, the closest you've heard to human singing in the whole game. It is still constrained by machinery, punctuated by the whirring of mechanized arms and the focusing of mechanical apertures, and yet they are singing for the simple joy of singing. They are as alive as anything else in this world. As if, in an otherwise dark and threatening environment, the puzzles were happy that you were playing with them. With nothing but music, Muraski gives these machines emotions, personalities, life. This is a world that seems to insist that you don't matter. These steel walls and iron girders are hostile to human life. The world scaled in a way that makes it near impossible to navigate. The environment itself constantly telling you that you don't belong here. And yet, it sings. Each wall panel, each laser, each cube is singing to you. The world is cruel, and yet it could not love you more. Anyone who's played the original Portal remembers the companion cube. After hours of navigating this antagonistic facility, your only guide, a disembodied robotic voice who constantly puts you in danger, you are given, quite simply, a cube with a heart painted on it. You bring this cube with you through the entire puzzle. It's impossible to solve without its help. In a hostile world, this is your first companion, your first ally. You are forced to incinerate it. In Portal 2, the companion cube makes a return. Not the same cube as the one from the first game, but a companion cube nonetheless. And this cube, like everything else in this world, sings. Love as a construct is one of my favorite pieces of all time, video game or otherwise. It's a slow piece, constructed from the same mechanical buzzes and whirs as everything else. But as you approach the companion cube, its beautiful, haunting melody soars above the rest. It is still unmistakably mechanical, constrained by analog readouts and digitized compression, but beautifully unlike anything else in the game. The subtle vibrato and slight hesitation to its voice humanizes it, if only slightly. It is a song of trust, of love, of something that cares. This is something you have killed, and yet it loves you still, as much as any machine can. There is no doubt this companion cube is as close as we can define to alive. Its wiring running with electricity and emotions, its motherboard constructing love out of circuitry. The thousands of years of Aperture Laboratories have evolved its machines into something beyond themselves, something more than what they were, something much closer to life than not. And this facility, this ecosystem, as hostile as it seems, cares about you. It is singing to you. The very last piece that plays in Portal 2 is not a piece for the last cutscene, or even the song for the credits. When everything else is said and done, the game completely finished, your controller useless beside you, you are rewarded with one final piece of music, a new main menu theme. I think it's fitting that this piece features the Companion Cube's theme, singing forever over a background of endless stars. I have never felt more loved by a game.